Good evening, dear racing fans. Hello to the L2S community for our race event number 4 in season 3. We will have another long evening of L2S racing. I will be hosting both the tiers T1 and 2, and I just opened this one big stream now. I will have to see whether I pause it or restart for tier 1. Then we will see how it all goes down. Anyway, welcome to our first race, the tier 2 race. This will be held on the Baku city circuit in the capital of Azerbaijan. Baku has been part of Formula 1 since 2016. Let's have a short look about the track. This is it. In Baku, it is ruled as very hard. Yes, it is. It has very unforgiving walls and barriers, just like Monaco. It has a very narrow intermediate sector, just like Monaco. But likewise, it features the longest flat-out zone of the whole race calendar, because Sector 3 is just one real turn, then a few two kinks, slide turns that can be taken in full throttle mode depending on the downforce settings a little bit, of course. And believe it or not, but the big main straight on this circuit is almost the same length as the whole Monaco racing track. 2.5 kilometers approximately. Just pedal to the metal, flat out driving. These are the assists that we use. We see medium traction control, manual gearbox, pit assists, and all the other assists must be off. We have a 18 minutes qualifying, followed by a 50% race distance. What are, I think, 27 laps, 26 laps, something around that here in Baku. Equal car performances, of course. We see unique car liveries, so do not search for your favorite team, please, because every driver is racing here with his own very unique livery. We have manual race starts, strict corner cutting. That is not the biggest topic here. There are a few turns that can be cut or exceeded, so there will be a few penalties, but not as much as on some other tracks, maybe. Full rules, flags, safety car, VSC, all that stuff is set to on, of course. And yeah, I am having a look into the background chat. We see one admin. It was, who was it? This was Mr. Infamous, and he tells us that the race start is delayed to 7:05, so 5 minutes late. That should be in the next 1 or 2 minutes, so not the biggest delay, not the biggest issue. There is enough of delay or enough of break later so that we will not collide with tier 1. If everything goes as planned for me, then there will not be a problem anyway, because I plan to just let the stream go on with a little bit of prolonged break in the middle of it. And we are now waiting for Mr. GT Fanatic. He and Lloyd Mason told us that they will be maybe a little bit late, but as we have 18 minutes qualifying, they are able to join then during quali. They are a bit short than on hot lap tries, maybe, but okay. That is hopefully not a problem for the drivers then. Yeah, Cameron Rowland wishes us all good luck, everyone. Yes, good luck, everyone. We have a bunch of new names here in the L2S community. That's a good thing, good sign. To have new drivers coming into Reflection is not entirely new, but rather new in this season, I would like to say. Then we will see Mr. Martin Celtic. I'm not sure how to name him, but he is one of the newer names. Likewise, there he is. Lloyd Mason, in case this 4 is a Y. So I think that's him. We have multiple spectators. Mr. Slayer, Infamous, 2 of our admins. And we should have, let me have a glimpse of my note sheet. We should have in Tier 2 18 or 19 drivers. So we are still waiting for 1, I think. 1, maybe 2. Ah yeah, Infamous just told us that he will leave the lobby, so in case that some other driver might join, there is some space left. And now the session timer has started to tick. Tier 2 is rather familiar to be dominated by one real fast driver. In Season 1, that was Chris Tam. In Season 2, that was Rayazudin. Both got promoted up into Tier 1 for a good reason. And now the big question is who will be the next dominator here in Tier 2? While we are traveling towards Baku here, the first pictures of the really cool and old historic town center. Right now, after 3 race events, Desert Rat is leading the way in Tier 2, a very familiar name. And he is a rather old, if you could say so, long member of L2S, the L2S community. And I know him from my early days. One of my first races was a rain-soaked race in Singapore, and Desert Rat had a real blistering speed to that time. So maybe he is a pro when it's about narrow city circuits with many close walls next to the track. So let's find out about that. He is leading the way, 51 points after 3 races. It's quite a good amount of points. 11 points behind him then Martin Selt. I have no idea what the real name of him is. At least it's the one who is in P10 here right now. And third is Professor Shu, who had a pretty good home race in China, but could not quite bring it home in the end. Anyway, he is sitting in third. That's the important thing, because the top 3 drivers will get promoted then into Tier 1 for the next season, for the first season of the F1 21 game then. And the first driver to go out on track is Mr. Patterson. In his black gold livery, looks quite nice, I'd like to say. I like the color combination. He maybe already touched the barrier there. So, yeah, little tradition of mine to stay with the first driver out on the hot lap. Yeah, I think there's an end plate missing already. So it might be that Patterson will already return to the pits here. No time set, but already the first penalty. 5 positions backwards. and I think it was Lloyd Mason. And here we are, on board with Patterson, who decided to run the lap, even though he's missing an end plate. First sector, it's just a few 90-degree turns, once around the block, you could say. Here's the next 90-degree turn, and yet another one. We are now behind the pit wall, and another chicane, and that's the end of sector 1. Sector 2 now will be the narrow one, so this is where Patterson will now struggle on his damaged front wing. It's getting very, very narrow here, and we are traveling through the historic city town center. This is the very nice view, the castle of Baku here right behind us. And the next turn will be awkward or unpleasant for him too on the damaged front wing downforce. This one. Oh yes, and there it is. The next crash into the barrier. The next end plate gone missing, so he will have some troubles here now in these fast kinks. We're already in sector 3, and here's flat out. Pedal to the metal. He lifted a little bit there in order not to collide with the wall another time. He still runs this lap to the end. This is the beginning of the DRS zone. You heard the beep. And this is 2.5 kilometers of just nothing else but flat outs. 140.2. Actually not bad, but I suppose that his first hot lap will be swallowed up pretty soon. Yes, Desert Red, the leader, overall leader, already faster, already pushing the limits under the 140 mark. There he is, white and gold, something like the lately used McLaren Gulf livery in Monaco. At least the color combination looks like it. Some Season 4, Season 5 podium pass livery. I admit that I did not care about the latest podium passes anymore. Last month I was rather focusing on racing on the PC version of the game and modding around, having a totally different PC car liveries. Oh, have a look! There he is again, Mr. Patterson, the one we were just riding on board with. He was standing very awkwardly there in front of the castle. Meanwhile, we have a new pole setter, CDMJW. Yeah, not very nice to pronounce from my broadcaster perspective. Not sure how I will call him for the rest of the evening. Anyway, I tried to have a look into our telemetry tool. I'm not sure if that is already set up yet. Oh yes, it is. Thanks to Mr. Slayer for taking care of it week in, week out. Three purple sectors for ZDMJW. Oh, and Patterson is out. Patterson is out. Not sure what happened to him. If he just doesn't want to continue his qualifying, or if he totally crashed on his way home. There was no yellow yet, so I'm not sure. Desert Red, meanwhile, is racing again, or still. Yeah, this is not the best idea, I would like to say, because we know the Parc Fermé rule. Let's say that the top 10 qualifiers have to start the race on the set of tire they qualified on, and that would mean that he or his starting tire set has already an extra lap under the belt, what would force him into the pits very early. Another not that competitive time from M. Hartin, 2.6 seconds slower than CDM. Let's have a look what China is doing. There he is in P8 at the moment. He is the only driver on mediums on a hard lap. In his first hot lap in the first sector, he was already over a second slower than Professor Shu, who is in second. Bit of impeding there maybe from the pink car. Daddy Pick, I think it was. And China in his second intermission, 41.7. A lot slower than everyone else. And yeah, 3.3 seconds the gap. That is not competitive. Let's see what Ryan Van Doom is able to do. The next one on mediums. 35.5 in the first sector. That was half a second slower than Professor Shu. Professor Shu, why I mention him? Because he is holding the purple Sector 1 time. Fastest driver in Sector 1. Sector 2 coming to an end for Mr. Doom. .0. That is exactly 1 second slower than CDM in Sector 2. You can guess it, CDM holds the purple sector time there. Now he's getting some pull, some towing, some slipstream. That could, yeah, that was a little bit of advantage for him. He is now in 8th. Not bad, but likewise not a really competitive time. I am pretty sure he will try again on softs later. Meanwhile, new pole setter, Mr. Kaloum 5729, who is sitting in 5th overall here at the moment. So he is one of the drivers in the discussion, in the hunt for a potential League 1 seat for next year, or T1 seat. Let's have a look who's on our lab. Maybe let's have a look on Mr. P.R. Oliver, or how I like to call him, Proliver. Oh, and he has crashed into the wall there. In the narrowest phase of the whole race Canada there, he destroyed his nose. It's turn 10, and this turn 10 of Baku is slower, narrower, closer than some other tracks' pit lanes. Next one to watch on our hot lap is Mr. Moshetit, John Kerr his name, and he crashed too. Next one to lose cement plate on a wall. We have only 6 minutes left in the session, and half the field was unable to set a hot lap yet. It's almost a little bit impressing. So next one to watch, as his lap time is probably ruined. Next one to watch is Mr. T-Luck. Has just started his hot laps. They're in the first sector inside the 90-degree turns. And Patterson, the first driver who put up a hot lap and DNF'd shortly after, or retired shortly after, is still in 7th. Interesting. Did not think that was possible, that this lap time could hold up so long. And meanwhile, we have seen a new purple time of Sector 1, that is Daddy Pig Jr. Just one position ahead of T-Luck. I have seen him racing in another league once, and yes, he is a good racer. T-Luck, 41.6 in the intermediate sector, not that good. That will be mediocre time for him, I suppose. T-Luck will finish his hot lap on a P12 only, and right behind him Daddy Pig is 9th. Good first sector for him, but the rest was not that good. Interesting that you can have a really good first sector and then totally break off in the other two sectors. So 3¼ minutes remaining and still 4 drivers without a hot lap. Let's have a look. First of them on hot lap is King Eskimo, our host for tonight. Let's see what he is able to do here. King Eskimo, 41.2 in the intermediate sector, 33.3 in the first one. Those sector times are maybe okay, but not much more than okay. So let's see what the time will give him in the end. Only P15. There was some mistake in the last sector. He, just improved over those drivers who did not have a time yet. So we are in the final moments of the quali. CDM has just improved his lap time a little bit by around about half a tenth his improvement. So pole setter improving his time. Who is on a hot lap? Who could we watch? Let's have a look what Desert Rat is doing. He has improved by 2.5 tenths approximately in the first sector. But that was not purple, I'm sorry. And he is now in the final sector. He is improving his time, but he will probably not jump ahead too much. From P6 to nowhere. He aborts his hot lap and almost ran into the wall there. So, what else could be interesting? Let's have a short look at Kaloum. There he is at the end of Sector 1, improving his time a little bit, 1.6 tenths. And that would be enough. That would be enough to attack the pole. So, let's stay with him, as he might be the only one who could be off danger for pole position against CDM. His first sector time was purple. Jinna finished. Reflection and Daddy Pig got disqualified. Reflection finished and Daddy Pig disqualified. So something weird happened when he returned, or went out of the pits. And Kaloum at the end of Sector 2. What can he do here? Oh yes, he's half a second improving on his first hot lap. Purple sector time, purple sector 1, purple sector 3. And now just flat out, can he bring it home? Can he post the hotter hot lap time for a pole? Yes, he can! 138.6. Distancing CDM by almost 4/10. Wow, good lap time for him. Congratulations to Kaloum for a really hot lap. And the rest is more or less finished. Let's have a look what Professor Shu is doing. Yes, he is still improving. 2/10 approximately his improvement. That is good, but not enough. That would not be enough for him to attack CDM. He would stay in third then. Let's see what's still in his car here in the last sector. Can he jump ahead? Yes, he does! Big improvement in the end, and have a look, just 11 thousandths of a tenth. He was behind Kaloum, so his time was good over the whole lap, but did not look that good. And the next one who got disqualified, my old friend Mogi, I like to call him Mowgli. Second driver to be disqualified. I haven't seen that in a long time. Of a qualifying, that 2 drivers got disqualified. Really not sure what happened to Mowgli. But anyway, the quali is finished for the moment. Congrats to our pole setter Kaloum. And we're waiting. Yes, there it is. There's the moment I was waiting for. The session is officially over. And here is our starting grid. Kaloum starts from pole position. Just behind him is Professor Shu, CDM in third. Fourth goes to Cam Rules. 5, Chinner. 6, Desert Red. 7th, Patterson. 8, M. Hartin. P9, Lloyd Mason. +5 positions grid penalty. And Ryan Van Doom in 10th on mediums, just like M. Hartin. P11, free option of tire, GT Fanatic. 12, T-Luck. 13, King Eskimo. 14, Mosheted. 15, Proliver, no time. Likewise to Reflection. And the last 2 drivers got disqualified, Mogi and Daddy Pig. So the weather looks cloudy, but dry. That's the more important thing, actually, that it is dry. I will have a short look in the temperatures as soon as the telemetry tool allows me to do that. And the drivers have still few seconds time to put up their tire strategy. Little bit, just minor possibilities to change setup, park family rules. We know about that. And here we are in lap 0 of 26. First thing to watch, of course, the tires of use. Oh, wow, so many hearts. Interesting. The top 7 start on softs, just as they have to. The top 7 plus Lloyd Mason in 14th. They have to start on softs. Mogi got disqualified again. Not a good start of his evening. We see just a handful of mediums. That is M. Hartin, Ryan Van Doom, and Reflection. And then a whole bunch of drivers starting on hards. GT Fanatic, T-Lock, King Eskimo, John Kerr, Prodiver, Reflection, Prodiver, and Daddy Pig. Yeah, starting on hards does have some risks. Drivers are leaving now. I suppose that we will need a new lobby. A lot of drivers are ghosted. I stated the question, but didn't receive an answer yet. Yeah, I am not sure what's happening here. I sadly did not receive an answer yet. Next drivers that are ghosted here. So there has been some kind of a bug. I will leave the session now and follow another invitation I received. Okay, so we need a new lobby, and I will be silent for a moment and we'll be back with you when we restart the race. Welcome back. Sadly, I have no idea what exactly happened, but for some reasons I sadly missed the start of the Tier 2 race. And I heard about this bug already sometimes, and this time it was me who was bugged. We have a VSC. We see Kaloum is leading the way. No position changed for the top 4. Kaloum, Professor Shu, CDM, and Cam Rules. Then a swap, Patterson and Jinner, and Lloyd Mason got disqualified for any reasons. Big loser of the start is maybe T-Lock with -5. We see the first penalties being handed out. +5 from Mogi and a double +5 King Eskimo. Next one to DNF is Daddy Pig. Yeah, anyway, let's just jump into the action as we are now entering lap 3. At least we should enter lap 3. Yes, it is. So this is Professor Shu battling with Kaloum. Wheel to wheel into turn 1, wheel to wheel for turn 2 likewise. And in the end, Kaloum stayed ahead, but this isn't over yet. DRS has just been activated, I think. Oh, and we see the first raindrop on the camera. So this will be a topic here for this race. Rain inbound here in Baku. I have a look in the telemetry tool for the race. So it is 26 degrees. It's called overcast, but that will probably change soon. We can visibly see the drops on the camera. Water already pouring down on the camera, so the intensity of rain is picking up, and we see the first drivers who have come in to collect intermediates: Desert Rat, Peroliver and King Eskimo. Let's see what our top 3 group will do. They are rather close, then a little gap to Cam Rules. Oh, Professor Shu already struggling on acceleration here. Dirty air effect for CDM. Don't crash into the wall. Let's see if or who will now pit in. Kaloum does not. Shu doesn't. Kaloum does. Kaloum into the pits. There he is. So back to our leading duel, that is CDM versus Professor Shu now. Kaloum now was the only one in this lap who pitted for Inters, so let's see where he will be track position wise then after these 2 boys stopped for Inters, in case they will. So as long as the RS is still available, I think it's maybe a bit too early to stop for Inters. We see a few drivers with front wing with nose damage. That is Jinner, that is M. Hartin, that is Desert Red and King Eskimo. All of them with some minor front wing damage. So it's hard to tell what is the better tire strategy. I would like to suppose that it is still dry enough for slicks, but it's getting more and more difficult, of course. Shu did not get the apex in the last turn. 6/10 of gap for CDM. Who was really struggling here in this last right-hand bow. Who will pit now? No one will, so they go on softs. Wheel to wheel, no. Professor Shu was through. Shu is through. Didn't even need the turn to attack, and this is the battle for P3, Cam versus Pattison. There you can see Cam lacking an end plate, causing 25% of front wing downforce loss. And in the DS zone, he's pulling ahead again. Jinner then is far away, no threat from behind at the moment. And in the lead, have a look, almost a second already between Shu and CDM. So Professor Shu really is the faster driver, it seems. Kaloum in the pits again. Oh no, Kaloum, who was among the leaders. Kaloum is into the pits again. And Kaloum pits back for slick tire. Oh my goodness. So pitting for Inters was a big mistake there. Yeah, so Kaloum's chances for a race win or podium is very, very narrowed then now. Kaloum will remain or continue his race on hards, while Pattison is 1.5 seconds away from Cam now. And CDM is a second away from Professor Shu, so on the edge of dropping out of the DRS zone here. And behind M. Hartin is very close to Jinner. This is a threesome group, Jinner, and he is wheel to wheel with, who is it? Ryan Van Doom. DRS kicks in really much for him. And Jinnah lost 2 positions. Yes, he did. Part of it, of course, the fact that he is lacking downforce. King Eskimo here, coming out of the pits. He is lapped already. Oh my. Not a good evening for our host. GT Fnatic now into the pits. Yeah, all those drivers who stopped for Inters, that definitely was a mistake. Proliver, John Kerr, Moshotit here. And Desert Red. Ooh, Desert Red, our overall leader, committing a big mistake strategy-wise early. Desert Red with a front wing damage. He needs a new nose. A lot of drivers with nose damages. Jinnah likewise to 70% of damage. Desert Red. Kaloom with front. No, oh no, Kaloom. Kaloom. There he is. Into the pits again. Lap 6, and this is his 3rd pit stop. My goodness. Now he'll go on softs. Well, not so sure if that's a good idea. The softs are usually a lot too soft for this track. Anyway, CDM committed a mistake. CDM in 2nd. He is now 10 seconds away, and now even down to 3rd, and pitting in. And it looks like, from the cockpit view, now it looks like the rain has picked up. So maybe now it's Inter's time. No. Hearts for him. Ahead of him is the in-pitting Patterson, and he opted for Inters. Likewise to Jinnah. How crazy is that? We have seen, I don't know how many pit stops already with back and forth, Inter or not, and Slicks or not, and Inter again or whatever. So, the thermometer tool still tells us that the weather is called overcast. So officially, by the game, it is not rainy. It's not raining weather. That means that DRS should still be available. Front wing damage now for M. Hartin and Cameron Rowland. Cam has 80% of tire deck in P2. So he does need a pit stop now. Oh, there was some debris laying there. Cameron needs a pit stop now. He cannot wait any longer. I suppose he waited as long as possible on this softs to decide what is the best option to do now. There is no more time for waiting. He must pit in. He will need a new nose too, I suppose. Let's stay with him for a moment. Let's see which tires he has opted for. Telemetry still tells overcast, still officially not a rain race. Let's stay with him here for a moment. And he will get softs. Okay. From soft to soft. Plus a new nose. Oh, King Eskimo has retired. Our host is gone. Not a good race for him. The king from the Iceland country. Jinnah in the pits. Needing a new nose. 83% of damage to his nose. Tilak too. Tilak's nose is damaged. Tilak in 11th. On fresh softs. So he'll need a new set of fresh tires too again. What a hectic. I wouldn't call it chaos. Just a hectic race start of this Baku Tier 2 race. And somewhat bulletproof to all the tactic is Professor Shu. And right when I say it, he is digging out of the run-out zone of the last turn. But no damage. He will need a pit stop soon too. Tire deck 76%. M. Hartin now damaging his nose even more. Shu pitting in. Let's stay with him here for a moment and see which tires he has opted for. Was it green? It is Inters. Inters for Professor Shu. So the half the field opted for Inters, then back from Inters, and then partly back to Inters, partly back to Slicks. Shu now goes for Inters. Ryan Van Doom and M. Hartin into the pits too. Ryan Van Doom, have a look. Van Doom, Hearts. He can go probably through on this set. M. Hartin, Nunos, and Inters. And Cam. Hasn't Cam just been into the pits? Oh yes, and he has picked up a front wing damage. New nose for him again. And Inters. So haha, the pit stop from Ryan Van Doom, stopping for Hearts. It was entweder, this was either very right or very wrong. And we have a VSC Desert Rat and Tilak are out. Desert Rat, our leader, overall leader, is out. He's leading by 11 points over M. Hartin and Professor Shu. And if things stay like they are right now, we will have a new leader at the end of the evening for Tier 2. Yeah, and Professor Shu is faster than Ryan Van Doom on Hearts behind him. 18.2, 18.8 now, the gap, 19 seconds. So I think it's obvious that it is right to stop for Inters now. Yeah, and the game now says light rain. So now it's officially light rain, and DRS got just shut off. So Ryan Van Doom is gonna be angry now. He opted for Hearts just in the very wrong moment. He would have been on course for a podium if he opted for Inters just one lap ago. There he is. Still almost a complete lap to go until he can pit in for Inters. So he's got to be cautious now. And Professor Shu will be very delighted. 23 seconds now the gap, so the 2/3 remaining of this race he can control his own pace. He can lift off. He can rather control it and just bring it home smoothly, as long as there is no safety car, of course, and that is easily being triggered in Baku. Have a good evening to the boys who just checked into the chat box. Serious Mushroom and our admin Jappy. Hello, boys. Yeah, Serious Mushroom, Ryan Van Doom has won here before. He will, don't want to say not, but yeah, it's rather unlikely for him to win here today. Right when he crashed into the wall there. And he needed a pit stop anyway. It's just going to take 5 seconds longer for Nunos now. And he will be relegated backwards by a lot of positions then. Yellow, a little bit of yellow somewhere behind him. So I would like to say, as long as there is a safety car, as long as Shu doesn't throw it away, I would like to say that this race win is decided. But the rest behind is still up for grabs. Let's stay with Ryan Van Doom here for a moment, and let's see where he will be relegated then. And the next VSC, Professor Shu will pray that we will not see a safety car, but just a VSC, if needed, for the rest of the evening, so that his gap is being frozen and not vanished. Next pit stop for Per Oliver and John Kerr, Mosheted. So let's have a moment and look and watch the driver who actually deserves it the most. Everyone deserves it, of course, but you cannot praise him enough here at the moment to make it very calmly and errorlessly through this difficult race. But whatever happened, Professor Shu took the exact right decisions tire-wise, did not commit a mistake. So yeah, still half the race to be done, but at the moment, all praises for him. Everything right on his end, and therefore he is well deserved leading the race with 31.5 seconds of gap to the next. Oh, next to be out, Kaloum. Kaloum has DNF'd, and this is another VSC. VSC, no safety car. I'm searching the minimap. What or where happened? I did not see a colored dot to be put into the wall somewhere. Anyway, Shu now 36 seconds away from Patterson. He is lucky that it is just a VSC. Just imagine how evil that would be to melt down this whole gap he has. So there is actually no driver competing with someone else directly. The only drivers who are more or less close are M. Hartin, CDM, and Cam Rules. So this group here, fighting, I cannot say fighting, but at least considering the final podium spot. This is M. Hartin with 2 seconds of gap to this man CDM and another 2 point something seconds gap to Cam Rules by the name of Cam Rowlands. Cameron Rowlands. There is actually no damage right now, so ironically, now as it's wet, everyone is able to stay out of the walls. There is no penalty given to anyone. Let's have a short look about the amount of pit stops. Oh, Jinna, 5 pit stops already. Let's have a moment to have a look at the positions changed compared to the starting grid. Plus 10 for Reflection, plus 9 for Mowgli. Minus 7, Jinna, the only big loser. CDM and Cameron Rowlands dropping each 1 position. And CDM has come closer a little bit. A second his gap now to the podium, to M. Hartin. So in a dry race he would try and nag to get into the DRS window. That's not available, of course, in rainy conditions. Mogi into the pits. I just saw it on the telemetry tool that he has front wing damage. Therefore, a new nose for him. While we see CDM crawling, inching closer. And there was the problem. There was the spin of M. Hartin here right alongside the Baku city wall. Something touched the barrier that got his rear unstable and he slipped sideways on a very, very bad spot. So we were really lucky, him and the whole racing grid, that he was able to dig out of it rather quickly. Kaloum, by the way, told us in the Discord chat that he feels his race to be wasted. Yeah, that's mostly the case once you DNF. So, and now CDM has stepped onto the podium after chasing behind this man, M. Hartin. In the end, yeah, he got it rather gifted. So, Professor Zhu is still leading very comfortably over Patterson, and now CDM fourth. Cameron Rowlands, who is not quite able to follow CDM. No one else really fighting around. Morshetit, John Kerr, if it's correct, having some front wing damage. Oh yes, a lot of winglets missing there. But there is, I think, a little bit of trouble in our telemetry tool. Ah, no, it's correct. Just when I say it, it's correct. And Chinna has a lot of front wing damage too, therefore he is into the pits. Chinna and John Kerr will parallelly pit in. Yes, they do. We are lapped already, I think. Yeah, now they are. Oh, Marsha did. Oh, I'm not sure if that was good. John Kerr. I'm not sure if that was intentionally or by accident. But he has opted for wets for the monsoon tire. It's his third stop. So he should have had some inters remaining. Cannot be that he ran out of inters. So let's just stay with him for a moment and let's see if he'll come into the pits here right again. Infamous, welcome to the chat box. Drivers are trying to stay away from Barry R. Yep, Barry R. Likewise to barriers. And right into the Barry was Marshall here. We were right with him. Another pit stop incoming for John Kerr. And Patterson does so too. Patterson in third into the pits, I suppose, just because of tire degradation. So the inters, you cannot run the whole race through on one set of inters, and that is right what our midfields are enduring here. Encountering here, because Patterson, Hartin, Reflection, all of them in for a fresh set of inters. Mosheted, yes, welcome back to his pit crew. And he's out. Not just pitting, he has opted to stay in his garage, step out of his car. Have a nice evening, John Kerr. So who else? Proliver now, the next one with front wing damage. And tire deck, CDM, Cameron Rowland getting closer to 60%. So they are the next who are in need of a fresh set of inters. Cameron Rowland's now the next one to stop for fresh inters. Let's see where he will be. Ah yeah, he's already out of the pits. Not in troubles or dangers anyhow. Likewise to, I would like to say, everyone. So biggest danger for every driver now for the remaining 8.5 laps is more or less just themselves. Just stay calm, do not commit a mistake, stay out of the barriers, and everything will be fine. And Jinna will hope that someone ahead does not listen to me. He will hope that someone will commit a mistake, because just one driver to DNF would mean that he would slip into the top 10 and into the points. Professor Shu, meanwhile, collecting a fresh set of inters, still comfortable 40 seconds ahead of CDM, who is into the pits likewise. That's why the gap was more or less stable, and Jinna has retired. Jinna has retired? Or did he crash? I think he crashed, maybe. We already passed the spot, cannot jump to it anymore. There is a dark blue bubble, now vanished. I think that he crashed into the walls there at the beginning of the long straight. So, yeah, forget what I just said. Jinna is out, so only 10 drivers remaining. Everyone who will finish the race will be given points. So sometimes you just have to, stay in the race. Sometimes it's not about being the fastest to be in the top 10. Sometimes it's just to stay alive. Last driver standing, so to speak. So CDM, after picking up fresh inters, is now close to Pattison. Finally, we have something like a battle again. Walls are close, wheels are close, wheel to wheel. Next turn, wheel to wheel too. There was a bit of a push, but everything's okay. And in the end, CDM pushed through. I did not quite understand how it came to this battle, but anyway, we very delightfully took it with us, of course. Finally a battle again, but you can see that CDM is really a lot faster than Pattison here. There is no reason damage-wise. Ryan Van Doom, by the way, 47% of tire deck. With 6.5 laps remaining. Not sure if he can make it through on this set of inters. Ryan Van Doom might try that. That would be the only chance for a podium for him. But I suppose that CDM will close up to him very, very rapidly now. Yeah, I suppose that Ryan Van Doom will try to go through. Otherwise, he should have stopped earlier already. And CDM will catch up to him very, very soon. Patterson might do so too. So right now the question is if Ryan Van Doom can stay ahead of Patterson or Cam rules. Yeah, we will see. We will see how that all will go down eventually. Oh, and in the very back we see GT Fnatic pushing over Proliver. Proliver now the 10th and last. Let's jump to them real quick. Here they are. And ahead, CDM. Let's have a look at this looming battle for the last 4.5 laps. CDM, just as expected, has been catching up to Ryan Van Doom, who is more and more struggling on his used tire, and there he is into the barrier. There goes the looming battle. Ryan Van Doom. Yeah, Ryan Van Doom, he tried to make his tires last longer. He tried to not pit in again, and now with his damaged nose he must pit and lost time earlier. So yeah, his idea is wasted now. And so he should have just pitted earlier when he still had a bit of gap. Now he will be ranked back behind far, even beyond cam rules. Like, I would like to suppose something around reflection. Still ahead of Mogi, I suppose. And Van Doom did not pit. Can you believe it? Ryan Van Doom did not pit. Does he know that he doesn't have front wing downforce anymore? My goodness. Ryan is really a fan of Doom. So he'll lose a lot more time and drop the position at least to Pattison. He'll fall off the podium in just a few turns. Let's wait and see. Let's sit on board on the shoulder of Pattison and watch him hunt down his hurt prey. So let's have a look if Ryan Van Doom will now pit in. I would recommend heavily. I already recommended it a lot of laps ago. Oh, and GT Fanatic tries to finish the race on softs. Okay. Ryan Van Doom does still not pit. My goodness. Have you seen any driver that is more stubborn than him? He just ignores that his front wing is totally not existing anymore. And Fanatic, who is left here, is struggling heavily on softs. But generally, it's not a bad idea because you can see that there is no drizzle down anymore. So it's only the water on the track. That is still a lot, of course. It's still very slippery. But the trend definitely goes into the direction of slicks. But I doubt that slicks will be deciding this end of the race. Mowgli into the pits. Next one, yes, for softs. Still far away enough of Proliver. It's just the hot lap times maybe. So a little bit of a hunt between those two boys for the fast lap of the race and the extra point earned with it. Yeah, Ryan Van Doom will not pit in again, and so it looks like it feels like Patterson is so much faster. It feels like Patterson could run in circles around Ryan Van Doom, and there was the bump into the walls from Patterson. Now he has damage too. Last 2 laps, and we see 2 damaged cars. Ryan Van Doom's damage is still a lot bigger, and his tires are a lot older and more of worn. But this will be an interesting battle here in the end. The race did not feature a lot of action, I admit, and not a lot of battles. But in the end, this will be an interesting topic to watch. 2 worn out and damaged cars towards the end. Some yellow in sector 2 already. No, not vanished yet. No, it's gone. No safety car, so Professor Shu got his wish. Will bring home a gap of almost half a minute. And just when it's getting a bit more dry, we see the first penalty. First corner cut penalty of the day that is handed to Mogi. Proliver, next one to stop for softs. And in the end, in the last lap now, Ryan Van Doom. Mowgli is out! Can you believe it? Oh, he retired in the pits. Why? I just don't understand that. The last lap, Mogi just needed to do one more lap, and he would have been given 2 points. I don't understand that. So he gifted away 2 points. Yeah, and GT Fanatic says, thanks a lot, mates. Being gifted into P9. Fanatic did not have a great evening himself, but sometimes, as I said, it's just about getting through the race, and no matter how many laps he was behind tonight, no matter how many end plates his front wing is missing, he will get 2 points for it. So we are in the last lap and we are already in the last sector, the last time, the long straight, and then in the end it's a very, very much deserved victory. He couldn't bring it home in China, but he does here in Azerbaijan. Congratulations to the Professor Shu. Congratulations, great race. No mistake in difficult, in trickery conditions for him. Almost the same can be said about CDM, just almost, but P2 is still very good result, 18 valuable points for the driver in the white car, wiggling his way over the checkered flag, and in third another big gap to Ryan Van Doom. I have no idea how he made it, but he rescued his damaged, his wrecked car home. Congratulations to rescuing P3. Front wing was gone. Tire degradation at 80%. So the Doomsday Man really did whatever he could to conserve this P3 and this final spot on the podium. So we are still waiting for GT Fanatic. Let's stay with him here. Who will finish the race in the pit lane? It doesn't matter. I said it. No matter how many laps he's down, he will get 2 points. He brings his car home without the nose. Totally okay. Driver of the day is ruled to be Mr. Reflection. This is the first of our podiums, the Tier 2 podium. Totally deserved race win for Professor Shu. And a whole lot of digital champagne for him. Him and CDM battling it out, at least champagne-wise. So here is our final result after pit stops. Professor Shu has won the race. A whole lot gap ahead of him. And CDM finished in second. Ryan Van Doom in third. Patterson fourth. Cam Rules in fifth. Reflection sixth. SFRM Hartin in seventh. Prodiver eighth. The last one to finish the race was GT Fanatic. 10th is still in the classification. That's Mogi, and the rest did not finish. That's Chinner, Moshated by the name of John Kerr, Kaloom, Desert Rat, T-Lock, King Eskimo, Daddy Pig, and Lloyd Mason. So this was the first of two events of tonight. Thanks for being with us. I suppose that, like always, a few Tier 1 drivers were watching and checking out for some ideas for pit stop strategy. Was a bit hard to scout this race, to get some ideas out of this race, weather-wise, of course. So let's just see how the Tier 1 will perform, how the weather will be for our Tier 1 drivers. Then the stream will continue. It's just about 15 or 20 minutes until the lobby opens for Tier 1. Until then, I will park myself in my F1 garage. And I hope you will be back with us then for the Tier 1 race. So, see you in a bit. So, hello again, dear racing fans. Here I am again out of my broadcaster's booth after an difficult Tier 2 race. It was dry in the quali, but rainy in the race, in the race in Azerbaijan. It was, not that much of excitement, not that many of battles, but still very interesting, very intense race with a totally deserved winner, Professor Shu. And now let's see how or what our Tier 1 drivers will be doing. We see just the same again, 18 minutes qualifying, 26 laps races afterwards. And Tier 1 sadly will not be as many drivers. We will have, I think it's now called 14. One driver was unsure, that was David De Joel. Let's have a look at the lobby, if he has checked in. Yeah, not yet. We have 13 now. On my note sheet I have 13 or 14 drivers that are in. Who definitely are not in, that is BMC and official, and that is a big thing because we have seen 3 races yet in this season and we had 3 different race winners. That was official, BMC, and then Rayad Sudin. And so the championship is totally up for grabs. We have the top 4 drivers are within 5 points. So it's BMC and official, both 37 points, leading the way. But both are inactive tonight. And the third man is David De Joel, who's just 1 point behind them. And it looks like he is not here too. So the top 3 are all inactive. And fourth man in then is Slayer, the Slayer. He should be in. I saw his name already. There he is, Slayer 23. He is 5 points behind the leader, so this could be his lucky evening. He just must make 6 or more points. That would mean 7th or higher. And he will be our new leader. Slayer has always been very fast. He was fighting against official for the championship in season 1, but fell short and did not have a big chance actually in season 2 for the championship. But maybe season 3 is the big moment for Slayer. And maybe this season is just about consistency. I mean, we have another very, very fast duel that is Kristam and Rayad Sudin, both former Tier 2 champions. They are now battling it out, hopefully, finally battling it out in Tier 1, because both of them had inactivities likewise already in this season. So maybe this season 3 is all about being consistent. You must maybe not be the fastest. You must not maybe have the most amount of race wins. You just need to consistently be part and consistently finish in the top 10, maybe to be the overall champion then in the end. Another interesting thing is the relegation, because as the top 3 of Tier 2 are upgraded into Tier 1, the lowest 3 of Tier 1, of course, are relegated down into Tier 2. And at the moment, we see still 3 pointless drivers. That's Golden Pickle, Jimmy O, and Royal Harvey on the very bottom of the table. And I think Jimmy O and Golden Pickle are not here. Nope, not here, but Royal Harvey is. So he could have himself a big evening. in order to just crawl out of the bottoms of the field. So could be very important for him tonight to finish in the points. And another one who is close again to the bottoms is Dean Cunha, our host. He had a heartbreak finish last season in order to barely just stay inside Tier 1. And he now is already under pressure again because the first driver over the line, so to speak, is already Dean Cunha. So as soon as Royal Harvey finishes in the points and finishes in P6 or higher, Dean Cunha is threatened of being under the relegation line of our tables then. So we are 3 minutes over the time, 3 minutes late already. We are we waiting? Are we still waiting? Royal Harvey said he is late, yes, okay, but he is in the lobby now. Anyway, it looks like we are still waiting for someone. I think it cannot wait too long. Hey, Johnny Cox, welcome to the chat box. Hello, haven't seen you in a while. Very sad after the strange end of the RRC, but nice to see you again. I hope you are well and still winning races wherever you may drive now. Nice to see you again, and I hope everything is good for you. And if you stay with us, enjoy this evening tonight here in Baku. Yeah, I think we should get going very soon, as long as there is no further background information. If or how or when we will start, I will be back with you in a moment. And there we go again. Again, the journey to Baku capital of Azerbaijan. Let's have a look how the weather will be this time. We have, I think, 14 drivers now with us. That's quite okay. Not a full grid, sadly, but okay. This might be my penultimate time that I broadcast the L2S community, as Germany is slowly but steadily crawling out of the COVID-caused lockdown. Life slowly gets back to normal. There might be some real-life commitments on my Thursday evenings catching up to me. I'm not sure yet when it is really time for being away on Thursday evenings, but it looks like it might be in 2 weeks of time then. So yeah, here we are in the pit lane. The weather is fine, fair weather, sunny weather. Let's see who will be the first driver to leave his garage. First half minute was very silent, didn't hear one single engine to be fired. First moment is more or less already fully ticked down. Now I see some driver leaving his car. Let's see who it is. A lot of orange, could be Landabot. Yes, it was him. There he is. First one to go out on his outlap. Yeah, in this week, one thing I don't want to not speak about it, just very sad news. The passing of Max Mosley, former driver, longtime FIA director. Very sad news. This week on Monday he died. So deep condolences on behalf of the whole L2S crew to the family Mosley. So while we are getting started here, I need to restart our telemetry tool. Our admin Slayer is taking care of it, and it is really a cool thing, I admit. Presented by a very cryptic name that is IGK-TAS.FR. Not sure what that stands for, but pretty neat telemetry tool. So I can tell you it's 28 degrees air temperature, 35 degree drag temperature, while we see Landabot on his first hot lap on mediums. Ruining it for himself in one of the 90-degree turns of Sector 1, and he needs to watch out. He's running. It's running again. So next one to watch. Let's just get over to one of our admins, Mr. Chapman. Chappie had a good start to his season 3, stepping on the podium in the first race. Finished 3rd in Bahrain. And he will sit on board onto his shoulder for his first hot lap. First sector is more or less just once around the block, bunch of 90-degree turns. Oh, and he touched the wall there a little bit, so this might have already been a bit of damage. Chris Tam, meanwhile, no, it's Riyad Sudin. Yes, there it is. I was waiting so long for it, while Chappie sadly ruined his hot lap with an acceleration problem there at the end of Sector 1. Riyad Sudin versus Chris Tam, the two big pole kings, former pole kings of Tier 2. I was mentioning it already so often. I was looking forward to those two boys battling it out in Tier 1, and after some activity troubles, after some internet connection troubles, now finally they are on track, and this is the first shots fired, you could say. Riyad Sudin versus Chris Tam, and in favor of the Sudin at the moment, and Chris Tam 6/10 behind, and even Simwi was able to sneak in between them. So Chappie, let's see if he will run it to the end to post just a security time, or if he will abort his hot lap. Looks like he'll abort it. Yes, he does. He's into the pits. Here we are with Dean Cunha, our host, another admin, part of the admin team. About Chappie, I would like to say that I preferred to just run it to the end. It wasn't a competitive lap time, wasn't a good one, but we've seen a few drivers in Tier 2 being unable to entirely post a hot lap time. So even if you do not have a good hot lap, Cunha aborting it likewise. Even if you do not have a potentially good hot lap time, still just run it to the end. You have enough of time for 2 more shots afterwards. Okay. Infamous aborted it likewise. Infamous behind came back to the pits. So you see that some drivers really have troubles to post a hot lap. Slayer did it the other way around. Slayer just posted the security time, 4.8 seconds behind Riyad Sudin. Of course, not competitive, but just finish 1 lap, and that already gives him the edge over drivers like Frenzy and all the rest who were unable to post this first hot lap. And I would not be surprised if there would be 1, 2, 3 drivers that will not have a posted time in the end. So Serious Mushroom, the Toad, out of his garage, who was active in our chat box of the stream during the Tier 2 race. And now we're watching the Toad in his still, or again, all black livery here on his outlap. So right now actually we see only 3 drivers who posted a really competitive lap time. That's just the top 3. Aces versus Kings already 2.5 seconds off. Slayer has improved his first lap time, but still not a good one. Let's see what our little Toad will do. He and Royal Harvey maybe are still at the end of Sector 1 too. In his Brazilian lookalike livery, and he crashed into the walls there and had some Acceleration travels out of turn 5. So a lot of drivers still have troubles here. Ooh, and Frenzy is even out. Frenzy is out. So it's just a copy of the Tier 2 qualifying. A lot of lookalike stuff going on here. I'm having a look into our telemetry tool. Frenzy is red, yes, as he is out. Serious Mushroom, where is he? Where is he? There he is. 34.8. That is 3/10 behind the purple sector 1 time from Tsurin. And sector 2 coming to the end right here. Sector 3 then is more or less a totally flat out sector. And the Mushroom 40.5. That is, wow, 1.2 seconds slower than Tsurin. That's really a lot. So he is virtually 1.5 seconds approximately behind Tsurin. Yes, 1.6 then in the end. But that's, yeah, it's not a good lap time, of course, but it's good enough for him to be up into P5 here at the moment. And half of the qualifying, more than the first half, is already over. And we have seen half the field struggling to get a hot lap time. Let's have a look again about our admins. Chappie will bring it home right here. And he is 1.8 seconds behind. What is the next admin doing? That's Dean Cunha. And then Infamous, the 3 admins. The admins minute now. Cunha looks slower than Chappie. Yes, right behind Chappie. And now to Infamous. Right behind. Infamous in between. So the three admins, the group of admins, P6, 7, 8. Approximately 2 seconds behind Rayatsurin, plus minus. And now it's Frenzy out, plus Bellox and Royal Harvey still without the hot lap time. Bellox still in his garage, and here's Royal Harvey again. The Brazilian fan. Not sure what exactly this livery is mentioned for, what he wants to tell us. Meanwhile, Rayatsurin has improved his lap time. Wow, and that means that only Landabot and Simvi are the only drivers that are within a second. Wow. Royal Harvey cutting the corner here, but it's not a big issue as he's still in his outlap. Rayatsurin 3 times purple sectors, giving him the fastest overall, 1:37.4. That means he is around 6 seconds faster than the real life lap record. So now Royal Harvey into his one and only hot lap. He does not have enough time to run another one. So this must be it now for him. Slayer, meanwhile, is out on mediums. If the race is a dry one, this could give him a real edge on tire strategy. Because you cannot run on a one-stop from soft to hards. Medium to hards is possible, but not soft to hard. Landabot now on outlap. Aces versus Kings likewise. Rayatsurin, I think, is already finished. He will not have enough time to run again. Royal Harvey, the end of Sector 1. What does my telemetry tool tell me? 34.8. It's half a second already behind Tsurin. And Slayer is really slow. 35.5 in the first sector. That's over a second slower. And In Sector 2, he was 2 seconds slower than Rayazudin, so that was not a good idea from him. And Royal Harvey has invalidated the lap time. My goodness. My goodness. Royal Harvey. Unable to post a hot lap. He might have enough time to run again. If he turns towards the pits now, aboard this lap, get a set of fresh softs, he could have enough time to post another one. So it's not all lost for him yet. Not yet. Slayer went through on his lap with the mediums. Not so sure if that was wise. So everyone is going on an out lap again. Rayazudin made it back to the pits in time, fast enough, so that he could have another hot lap if he wants to. Landabot just started his final shot here. Can Landabot attack Rayazudin? I'm not so sure about that, but maybe he needs to improve his time in order to defend for or against drivers coming from behind. Landabot's first sector will come to an end here, and he is in 34.8, almost 3/10 slower than before, so no improvements for the bot. What is the ace doing? Aces versus kings, already towards the end of sector 2. Aces versus kings, 37.2. Oh, that is 3 seconds slower than Zudin, so there was some kind of mistake, obviously. Yes, the ace is finished maximally in P9. Slayer is finished. He's still in his pits. Will not make it over the circuit again. It's just a question, will Slayer start on P10 on his mediums, or will he be ranked backwards and then have free option of tires? What is Chris Tam doing? Chris Tam, the one of the pole kings. He is blistering fast usually in the qualifying. He is improving by more than 3/10, and he must do so. There is still a lot of time he must find. He improved by 3/10, but he is already 3/10 slower than Rayazudin in Sector 1. What can he do? How much time can he find here in Sector 2? This is the sector where you lose or win it. End of Sector 2 here. He found another 10th, but that's just not enough. That would only be enough to attack the drivers ahead. That would only be enough to get into the front row, but not the prime position in the end. Where will the clock time stop for him? The long straight, so long waiting for the timing line, and yes, he is second. He is second, pushing ahead over Landabot and Simvi. Landabot is finished, but what can Simvi do? Is Simvi able to strike back? That is possible. Almost 4/10 his improvement, and that would be enough to push Chris Tam back a row, to push Chris Tam back into the second starting row. It will not be enough to attack Zudin. And yes, Simvi back into P2. Rayazudin's finished in the pole. Simvi starts next to him in the front row. Chris Tam then third. Landabot will be fourth. Can Serious Mushroom? No, Serious Mushroom will be on an outlap. Yes, or an in-lap rather. Back to his pits. There is, I think, no one left on a hot lap. What is Royal Harvey doing? Royal Harvey may be the last one. Coming to the end of Sector 2. I think Harvey is still on a hot lap, but it's not a good one. He is already 1.5 seconds slower at least than Rayazudin. So, but he could push ahead. He could be somewhere at around Castres, France, I would like to say. Mushroom or Castres, France. Let's see what the time will tell. Oh, even ahead of them. P4 for Royal Harvey. He found some time in the last sector. That means that his car is set up for the long straight. So he has set up his car towards straight line speed, sacrificing pace in turns, especially in sector 2. So I think the quali is finished. We are just waiting for Chris Tam and Serious Mushroom to be pushed into the garage, and then the quali will officially be over. So now quali is over. Congratulations to Rayazudin starting in the pole once again. Simvi follows him in the front row. Third, then Chris Tam. Fourth, Royal Harvey. Fifth, Landabot. Sixth, Chappie. 7, Serious Mushroom. P8, Castle France. 9th, Aces versus Kings. P10, Infamous. P11, free tire options for Dean Cunha. And Slayer, no time set for Frenzy and Bellox. And just as expected, a few drivers were unable to post hot lap times. In the end, it was just 2. That's a bit less than we had in Tier 2. But still, sometimes, on some tracks, it's harder to post competitive hot lap times. And we saw that here today. Not quite about track limits, but rather about unforgiving barriers. So our drivers now have half a minute of time to decide for a tire strategy. It's a fair weather, it's a dry race, so we should have a lot of the S action upcoming. I will be back with you as soon as we turn towards our parade lap. So here we are, lap 0, the warm-up lap, installation lap, parade lap, call it as you wish. The last 6 kilometers of taking a breather and getting focused for our drivers. Here is the tires that I used for the start. The top 10 have to start in softs, of course. And afterwards, no one does. Cunha, Slayer, Bellox on mediums. Frenzy then on hards. I mentioned it already a few times. Did so just 2 hours ago. I'm not a fan of starting on hards, just because you cannot have front wing damage early. You need to stay out long on this single one set of hearts you have. But okay, let's see how it will go. Meanwhile, another tier 2 driver has checked in to our chat box. Hello, good evening, PR Oliver, or how I like to call you, Proliver. Serious Mushroom can get a whole lot of points tonight. Yes, P7 is quite a good position to start in order to aim for a whole lot of points. Same goes for P6 Chappie. Yeah, it's not wet, at least not now. So the start will be in sunny weather, fair weather. The thermometer tool tells me sunny, 28 degrees air and 35 degree Celsius track temperature. Yeah, Proliver says, if you want to get lapped, you need hearts. Yeah, you were lapped. Sure. I just watched you. But in the end, it was just about finishing. And it was a difficult race. And wasn't it? Tell me about it. Tell me how you experienced it. I would like to say that it was really, really hard to stay out of troubles there. So tremendous effort from Professor Shu to really stay out of trouble. And in tier 2 I had a bit of a bug there. I sadly dropped out right on the start. We are now in the starting grid. I hope and think that it will not happen again now. Everything looks rather smooth on my end. So for the second race, now I finally can call it. We are in the starting grid, the 5 red lights, and then the L2S Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Go, go, go! Good start from Rayat Sudin and Simvi likewise, the top 3, top 4. Still, and there was a big crash, That was Chris Tam running into the wall there. Oh my goodness, Chris Tam out. He's not out, but at least out of the top contenders after just one turn. He needed to run wide in turn 1 and then anything happened. Maybe he got tagged on his rear and he spun into the wall right on the pit exit. Oh, that is bad. That is evil. That is sad. I mentioned it so often. I was so hoping for this battle, Tam versus Tsudin. We didn't see it a bunch of weeks due to activity problems, internet problems, whatever. And now the second race in a row that we have both in the lobby, and the second race in a row that for some reasons, the battle will just not take place. So yellow in sector 2 after some VSC. There is someone ghosted. Oh, it's Infamous! Infamous limping around the track, lacking a front wing too. Ooh, and this is a dangerous thing. A battle from two noseless drivers. And Royal Harvey is out. There is another car. The Brazilian livery is out. Wow. Intense first lap here. 2 drivers without noses and 1 without a total car. Whew. Wow. Intense first lap. So it's either the table is being confused like always in the early stages of the race, or Rayat Sudin is down to 7, no, to 9. No. It's got to be the typical confusion by the table. That is what makes me really angry, because Codemasters have just, I don't know, either not worked on it or just never got that bug sorted out. And from a broadcaster's perspective, that is really, really evil to not have the overview and the information, especially in the early phase, in lap 1, in lap 2, who is where, what happened, who is pitting, who might have dropped down, because the table is just unreliable. As soon as we are really in lap 3, everything will be fine. Yeah, but until then, the first 2 laps are, not very comfortably for me always. Let's see, and let's just hope and pray that for F1 21 this bug will be finally sorted out then. So now we turn into the real lap 3. Now DRS will be activated. SimV looks like he might be inside the 1 second window. So SimV, just barely 9/10, but 9/10 is inside. So SimV will be able to open up the rear wing right after this turn. And then 3.5 seconds already to land about. Big gap already between P2 and 3. So it looks like that SimV is the only one who can more or less match the pace of Rayazudin. Chris Tam might be another one, but he is far, far away. Chris Tam, by the way, opted for mediums, so... Oh, Infamous now in the pits again. Infamous into the pits again. 2 laps, 2 pit stops for him. I'm opening now the telemetry tool and have a look at the damage situation. Dean Cunha having a little bit of front wing damage. And Aces versus Kings and Chappie, they had to start on softs. Softs used from the quali, they are already turning towards 50% tire deck. Not quite there yet, but they are getting closer to it, especially on the rear tires. And now, after the intermediate sector, Rayazudin has crawled out and away of the 1 second DRS zone window. SimV 1.3 seconds behind. So let's have a look. There is some battle group. This is Casto France, Aces versus Kings, and Chappie. All of them indirectly in each other's pit stop, in each other's DRS window. The battle for 4th, but they are all very hard on tire deck. So their rear tires don't look good. Each of them is at around 50% of tire drag already, so that means maybe 2 more laps or so, and then all of those 3 boys will need an early pit stop. Let's stay with them when we travel through Sector 2 and these narrow turns here through the Baku historic town center along the Baku castle right here. There it is, the castle and the Slayer, by the way. Who's getting closer? Slayer inching closer into the DRS window of Chappie. So the next admin getting closer to this group, making this maybe a foursome. It's actually not, because Casto France sneaked out on the top of the group. So it's still 3 boys with DRS. The ace ahead is gone. Chappie. Oh no, the first pitter. Aces versus Kings. First one to pit with 56% of tire deck. Maybe a bit early, so he maybe could have done a lap or 2 more on this set, but he has opted for the undercut against these boys. He opted for mediums, so let's see now when or if Casto for example, will pit in now. Casto and Chappie both on softs. Casto France 58%, Chappie 60% of tire drag. So it is likely that those two drivers will pit in now. And then we will see if the undercut of Aces versus Kings, if the undercut worked. Oh no, and it totally did not work for Admin Chappie. He crashed into the barrier there, and it's a really, really bad spot. We can be lucky that we race with ghosting on, because otherwise he would have caused a big junction there in turn 10. The maybe one of the most difficult turns in the whole race Canada, the narrowest part of the turn of the whole race Canada. This turn is narrower than some other tracks' pit lanes. He lets Frenzy through. So nevertheless, let's have a look about Casto France ahead. Landerbot is pitting in. Yeah, Casto does so too. So we are still waiting for the answer if the undercut worked of Aces versus Kings. Landerbot in for mediums, already finished here. Casto France from soft to hards. Haha, oh. So he's doing something else than Aces versus Kings and Landerbot, because Casto is intending to go through on this set. He's out of the pit lane and just ahead of the Ace. So, yeah, did the undercut work or not? It's hard to tell, because I don't know about the exact amount of gap they had between. Anyway, Casto France on the slower tire now, but he doesn't have to stop again. The Ace knows that. He knows that he must make his mediums work now. He must earn his time that he will spend in the pits, then again later for an additional pit stop. So he needs to get past the Frenchie as soon as he can. And Casto ahead is maybe a little bit held up by Frenzy. Good thing is that he'll have DRS. The top runners, Ryan Sudin, Simwi. I wanted to say both didn't pit yet, but Simwi just did so. Simwi into the pits. Ryan Sudin still out for one more lap. 64% of DAG for Sudin. Simwi fresh mediums, and now there is maybe an attack from Casto France against Frenzy. DRS open up. Frenzy just lets him pass. And Aces vs Kings knows that he should do so too. Yes, he does. He does not give Casto a chance to run away from him. Oh, and Casto touched the barrier there slightly. Lucky boy, no damage for him. Casto no DRS this time. That makes Aces vs Kings catch up to him. Not enough to risk an attack. Now in the intermediate sector there is no chance for an attack. He just needs to stay close enough. Don't brake too late. So now he's 1/10 away again, just because he had this little lapse on brakes. Rayad Sudin should consider to stop now. 14.8 seconds ahead of Slayer, silently crawling up into second. Yes, Sudin visiting his pit crew. And he opted for hards. He will go through on this set. Different strategy than his main rival for the victory, Simwi. Simwi was 2 seconds away from Sudin. before his pit stop. Let's see where he will be now. And here's the next attack. Attack from Ace against Casto. Wheel to wheel into turn 1. And it worked. Next DS now in favor of the Frenchie. Yes, swing open up by Casto France. But too far away. No chance for an attack. Chris Tam is out! Chris Tam is out! He retired in the pit lane. Oh, that is sad. My goodness, didn't I say it? How often do I have to say it again? How often do I have to pray for this battle? Tam versus Sudin. And yet again, we don't see it. Because Chris Tam retired in the pit lane. That is sad. That is really sad. But okay. Let's focus on what's important here now for this rest of the evening. Slayer is leading as he hasn't been in the pits yet. Slayer in his new Chinese livery, I don't know if you can say so. Slayer ahead of Reazurin and then Simwi, all of them within approximately 4 seconds. Slayer didn't pit yet. Reazurin will go through. Simwi needs to pit again, so virtually it's Slayer battling against Simwi, as both of them still in need of a stop. Vanderwatt relegating Cunha down into 5th. Prodiver, obviously a fan of Casto France. Yeah, Casto now in 8th. That does not look too good, but he is beside Reazurin, the highest who tries to go through. So except Reazurin, everyone ahead of him still needs a pit stop. So on strategy wise, there is still something possible for the Frenchie. Lap 9, no safety car, no penalties yet even. Speaks for the quality of L2S. While we see Reazurin on his fresh hards, getting closer to Slayer even. It looks like he's really a lot faster on the harder, potentially slower tire, but fresh set. Slayer's tire are 40% of DAG already, while Dean Cunha has intensified his front wing damage. This should work for Reazurin. He's already in his gearbox even before opening up the DRS. Smooth sailing. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, pushing into the lead again. Is there a counter attack from Slayer? I doubt it, he's already too far away. The DRS zone is just too short. Dean Cunha now with his pit stop, getting a new nose, and I suppose a fresh set of hearts. Yes, it is. Cunha will finish the race on it. Casto already up into 6. Now it's Aces versus Kings, the only driver who is carrying a little bit of front wing damage with him. 19%, so there's just the end plate missing. That's a little bit of a topic for him. Especially in the medium and fast-paced turns, that can be a problem. And in this one, right this turn, penultimate real turn, because the last two are just some little kinks, some little bows like this one here. Normally you can take these little bows in full throttle mode, and Simwi collided. Simvi collided with the wall. Did he? Did he not? I'm not sure. He's a little bit jumpy, it looks like. So maybe not the best internet connection for him. The telemetry tool does not tell me that there would be damage to his car. So maybe he did not really collide with the barrier, and the game just showed it as his connection was a bit jumpy there. Riyadzuddin away, out of pushing Slayer out of the DS window. But on the hards, he cannot pull away that easily. So as soon as Simvi has overtaken Slayer, I suppose that Simvi might be able to catch up to Riyadzuddin again, and he must do so, as he is still in need of one more pit stop than Zuddin. And Slayer is having himself quite a good race, considering that he started only in 11th, and considering the fact that none of the drivers around him in the overall standings is active tonight. So the two new leaders of the overall standings in the end will be Riyadzuddin and Slayer. The order we will just know by the end when we see where Slayer will finish. And Simvi now attacking Slayer. This should work rather easily. Yes, it did. Both in need of a pit stop. One more stop for them, still upcoming. So it's virtually, or really, these two boys battling for P2, not only here, but eventually too. Infamous having himself a damaged nose, likewise to Chappie in P11 and 12. And the first penalty was handed out to Mr. Infamous. 3 seconds for ignoring warnings on corner cuts. Bellox and Cunha now fresh hearts. They will go through on this set. Serious Mushroom. Serious Mushroom has opted for mediums. Whatever you said it, Serious Mushroom could be in a position to make some good points here tonight. He was speaking about his starting position. Infamous now with some internet connection issues maybe. Serious Mushroom has a little bit destroyed his good starting grid position. He's in 11th. Not sure if he can make his mediums last until the end of the race. He definitely will try. It might be possible, but it's a long way to go. We are now at the halfway mark, so he needs to run on this set of mediums longer than Slayer now did. And Slayer on his 12 laps old mediums has a tire drag of 54%. So it is possible, but maybe a bit unpleasant towards the end then. But he needs to make this tires last, Mushroom, if he still wants to acquire some points. Yeah, and now meanwhile Riyadzuddin has run away from Simvi almost 3 seconds. So it definitely is Zuddin faster on hards than Simvi. Chappie in the pits again. He will try to do the same as Mushroom and finish the race on this set of mediums. Some yellow in sector 1? This was Chappie. Chappie was slow there in turn 2. But no damage to his car. So everything's fine. Just a bit unique way out of the pits maybe. And Slayer taking his one and only pit stop for the evening. This will be medium to hards. Good stop for him. No mistake yet. Errorless evening for Slayer, at least in the race. Quali wasn't good, but the race is good. He's now in 5th. That would give him enough of points to overtake the drivers ahead in the standings. That is David Dijoel, Official, and BMC. Big question will just be, where will Rayazudin finish? Will Rayazudin win the race? Because then he might be a threat for Slayer for the overall lead. Yeah, we will see that in approximately 20 minutes. Until then, there is still a lot of racing left in this event. Dean Cunha here in 9th, chasing Bellox. Well, Harvey is out, so he will stay with 0 points in the standings. So, for the moment, no pressure from behind from Cunha in the relegations battle. But still, he might be able to sleep a little bit more relieved if he could make up some points here tonight, giving him a little bit more cushion towards the hot seats that are threatened to race in Tier 2 then next year. I mean, next season. Starting in some time around August. So, what else is important right now? Let's run down the field for a moment. Rayazudin is leading from Simvi, from Landobot, who has come up and onto the podium. But Simvi and Lando both in need of a pit stop. Casto France up in 4th with the drivers ahead pitting. He is in a good battle for the podium, but he needs to be fast enough then later to fight off those Simvi and Landabot when they come from behind on fresher, faster tire. Same goes for Slayer. Slayer on fresh hards, who is getting closer to Casto France, even in a little bit of better position than the Frenchie on his fresh hards. In 6th, then Lace versus Kings, but he will still need a pit stop. Likewise goes to Frenzy, who is, I think, still on his starting tire set. Cunha versus Bellox. Overtake here in the DRS zone. This is a valid battle until the end. Both will go through on this set of hards, simultaneously old. 9th here, then Bellox 10th. The final point would be given to Serious Mushroom, and that would be a little bit of a disappointment. Having a good starting position and then being given just 1 point will taste like a little bit of disappointment for the Toad. Chappie and Infamous our two admins in the last positions, but I think, yes, Infamous is ghosted. Infamous left us and did not return. So, yeah, something annoyed him probably about this race, and that did not make him want to return. And Bellox back into P8. And interesting position to do so, because usually you cannot overtake on this part of the track. So I suppose that there might have been some kind of mistake, maybe from Cunha, and then Belloc slipped through. I already had a glimpse in the telemetry tool, and there is no damage. And here we are, right on point for the attack from Slayer against Castobrans. That worked very easily. Let's see if Casto can counter it in the next DS zone. That's right here. Chappie, second penalty being handed out onto his account. And Cunha and Bellox. So those two drivers battling it out for P8. They might be bringing us a lot of excitement for the rest of the evening. Slayer now lapping, just going through the ghost of Infamous. That's really sad. They are good friends, admins, and Slayer knows that something went wrong for his admin friend. We've seen a short little yellow caused by Chappie, I think, in turn 2. Caused by Chappie, and that caused Chappie's nose to fall apart. Big front wing damage for Chappie. That is sad. But he can easily pit and stay in P11. He will only be able to get a point if someone else checks out. That is a matter of fact. That was already the same fact before he ruined his nose. So there's actually not a lot he has lost now. Another 3 seconds penalty for him. That is not so good. Casto still chasing Slayer, but no chance for an attack. And the other duel is for P8. This is Bellox and Cunha. Yeah, Proliver Castobrans is still in a position to chase a podium, but Simwee is already far away rather, so Simwee might be that far away that he's already out of the pit stop delta. So a podium will be difficult for Castobrans. He must get ahead of Slayer anyway, but he is looking like unable to do so. And Chappie now retired in the pit lane. Yeah, it's a bit sad. I just said it. Of course, it's not a good race for him. Okay, but he could easily have pitted and stayed in P11, and then it's just one driver in troubles ahead, and he would be given a point. So he just should or could have stayed with us here for a couple more laps. But okay, totally his decision, all up to him. If there is no one DNFing, he was right and I was wrong. If someone DNFs and he would have had a point granted, he owes me something. So let's have a look if there's anything interesting in our telemetry tool. We see Landabot and SimV turning towards 60% of tire deck soon. So they waited long enough for the mediums that they might have a chance to finish the race on softs, I suppose. There is no big issues for anyone right now, no damage. Speaking about the rest of the telemetry, fuel settings, more or less the same for everyone. No big issues. Landabot in the pits. No big issues for anyone. Everyone is on the safe side of fuel consumption. Dean Cunha with 1.6 laps and Ace versus Kings with almost two laps. The drivers with the most spare fuel. Yeah, Landabot on softs. That will be interesting now. Landabot, there he is in 5th. 2 seconds behind Casto, but on softs. On the other hand, Casto already on used hards. So Landabot will close up heavily now. And especially on this long straight with this tremendously long DRS zone. That should not be a big problem for Landabot to overtake him. Then, maybe next lap. Next or the lap afterwards. And the big topic then is if Casto France can hold Landabot up long enough so that Slayer might be far enough away that Landabot cannot catch him anymore. And that would mean that our admin Slayer would finish on the podium after starting in P11. And now SimV pits, but his gap might be big enough that he not be dropping down into the fighting group I just mentioned. Oh, there is a attack upcoming already by now. Casto France showing that he will defend himself. Didn't even take until next lap. Casto into the pits. Casto France pits again. I did not expect that. And Landabot in 4th, 1.3 seconds now behind Slayer. I am pretty sure that Slayer hoped Casto would have held him up a bit longer. And now I think Slayer, this or maybe next lap, Slayer will be slayed from the bot. And Lando will step onto the podium then. So Slayer is likely to finish in 4th. That's still a good result for him. Enough to overtake all the drivers ahead in the classification. Casto actually dropped only to P5, so not a lot of positions he lost. Have a look, Landabot already out-accelerating Slayer here in the intermediate sector. My goodness, he didn't even have to wait for the long DRS zone. So much faster a fresh set of softs is compared to a used medium. Not even old, but just used. Interesting. Really, really interesting. Yeah, Slayer has more or less used up all his spare fuel, so there is not much left in the tank for him to fight back. Yeah, but he, have a look, he is still there. And backing down, waiting for the DS zone, but now with the acceleration advantage for Landabot, there is nothing possible for him. Nope. Ooh, and now he runs into the barrier. No, oh no, oh no. Slayer too late on the brake. Oh, that should not have happened. Slayer wanted too much there, wanted to stay alive in the podium battle, and now he'll drop down. Oh, that is really sad. 100% damage on his front wing. So on the right hand side, there's nothing left on downforce. So he must stop. Similar situation to what we saw from Ryan Van Doom in Tier 2. He made it through the race on such a front wing situation and made it on the podium with it. But of course, different situation. There was no DRS. It was a rainy race. Had Azerbaijan put in another stop, he wouldn't have needed it, but just a security pit stop. He had enough time to do it. Opting for a fresh set of softs here now, in case there is a safety car or so. And Slayer very lately deciding to go into the pits. So there goes his race. He will stay make some points, but probably not enough to still overtake WTHL official and BMC. Fresh softs, of course, for him. Yeah, Landabot was on fire, overtaking, cutting his way through onto P3, onto the podium. Casto now in 4th, back in 4th, that's not bad for him. Cunha on 5, wow. Dean Cunha is looking into a whole lot of 10 points being given to him. That would mean that after just 3 races, he has almost the same amount of points as he had all last season long. Same goes for Ballox, by the way. Aces versus Kings then in 7th. And fresh softs, he might make up to Ballox in the end. There is still something possible for the ace. And Serious Mushroom at least up into 8th now. But being under pressure from Frenzy behind, so the question is not answered yet for Serious Mushroom. There's still some homework to do. And Slayer being dropped down even into P10, wow. So, Frenzy, is there an attack upcoming? He looks very close to the Toad. In the slipstream now, easily done. Mushroom into the pits! Oh my goodness, I did not expect that. Some unexpected and late pit stops coming in here. And now Mushroom is down to 10th again. Wow. Okay, so Frenzy up into 8th. Nope, Frenzy in 9th. Slayer overtaking him right on the spot where he threw it away a few laps earlier. So 2.5 laps remaining. I suppose that everyone should be through on the tire strategy. Just 2 penalties being handed out. That is a +3 for the AI-driven Infamous and a +3 for Casto. 13 seconds behind to Lando, 16 seconds ahead of Cunha. So those +3 doesn't mean anything for him. So the penultimate lap is on. 1.5 laps remaining for Azerbaijan to win this race. just as unthreatened as Professor Shu was in Tier 2 2 hours ago. So, have a look. Slayer crawling up and now ahead, no, not ahead yet of Bellox, wheel to wheel through Sector 1. Bellox leaves him some breathing space. Now he should be through. Next turn is in his favor. Yes, he's through. Slayer limiting the damage, at least in 7th. For 7th, he'll get 6 points, and that's just the 6 points he needs, as he is 5 points behind the leader. But that will all be worth nothing, because Reatsudin will lead the overall standings with 50 points then. Reatsudin missed the first 2 races, but he won. He will win his 2nd race in succession now, if he brings it home on the last half a lap. And I mentioned it in the early get-go, Tier 1 in this year is all about consistency. We have seen so many drivers who were out, who are unable to race continuously. And so you not always have to win, you just have to consistently score points. If you win, okay, why not? While we see some wheel-to-wheel here going on in the last lap between Cunha and the Ace, and Slayer is there too. So for the moment, let's first celebrate this moment. A big race for Reatsudin. Not threatened at all. Not a single moment beside the start where he was under threat. Congratulations for the 2nd win of this season for Mr. Reatsudin. Congratulations. And now we jump back into the midfields, as there is still something to be decided. This is the red car of Aces versus Kings ahead. Then Cunha in 6th and Slayer in 7th. The Ace looks a little bit far away. Cunha on his used up parts cannot push enough, but Slayer might be able to make up at least one more position that he dropped down when he needed a new nose 5 laps ago. So Slayer on the fresh softs should have enough of better acceleration against Cunha. The question is, can he squeeze through before the timing line, before the race is out for these two boys? And in the slipstream next to him, wheel to wheel, it looks like he can. Yes, he should be through. Slayer has pushed through on the last few 100 meters. Can Cunha counter it out of the slipstream? He cannot. 49 thousandths of a tenth in the end, the gap. And there it was, very close to Bellox versus Frenzy. Bellox finished behind Frenzy just by 40 thousandths of a tenth. How incredible is that? How close can it be sometimes? So congratulations to a big finish in the end for Bellox and Slayer. There he is, driver of the day still, even though he dropped 2 or 3 positions in the end due to the extra nose he needed. But first, a winner stands from our new overall leader, Mr. Reatsudin. And now the virtual champagne, 2nd podium celebrations tonight. So here's the final result after penalties. Reatsudin has won ahead of SimV and Landabot. Then in 4th, Castor France. 5th, Aces versus Kings. P6, limiting the damage for the Slayer. 17, Cunha. Whole lot of points for him in the relegation battle. P8 Frenzy, P9 Bellox, and 10th 1 point given to CD as Mushroom. Infamous has finished the race AI driven with 2 laps behind. And not finished are Chappie, Chris Hum, Royal, Harvey. So this is it for race event 4 of season 3, tier 1 and tier 2 altogether. Was a very long evening for me, 3.5 hours of Formula 1 streaming. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for maybe rewatching this video. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did, bringing this home to your living room. I'm not so sure how things will go by. As things look, next week might maybe sadly be my last L2S broadcast due to upcoming real life commitments, with the lockdown being lowered a bit here in Germany and real life coming back up to normal situations. This is just a schedule how it looks like. It's not sure yet. Maybe this will be shifting a week or two. We will just see how it goes. Still, I really liked it tonight, and we will be back next Thursday evening, 7 p.m. UK time, tier 2, 9 p.m. UK, the tier 1 race. Then, when we will head to, what is it? I think the Grand Prix of France in Le Castellet. Until then, have a good evening, have a nice weekend, and stay safe in these times, and keep racing.